Hey, hey. Welcome to another episode of This Shit's Hard podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Biscuiti.
And I'm Jen, aka Rumblebum. Thank you for joining us.
Good. Okay, we are recording. What is today? Thursday. Today is Thursday. Welcome to another episode of This Shit's Hard podcast. I am Nicole. I am here with...
Sorry, I was supposed to. Jen, Rumblebum.
The Rumblebum. And joining us, we have Manders. Amanda, and what is your current last name?
It's San Giacomo.
San Giacomo. You know, I really wanted to do the IA in it, the IA. I really was going there.
You honestly could have. It would have sounded really Italian, like extra.
I mean, extra, not us. Thank you for being here. We're so happy.
Thanks for having
me. Yes. Yes, ma'am. So what we wanted to talk about today, we really wanted to narrow in on some things, only because we can ask, you know, another podcast can ask you about what you do for work, although we do find what you do for work very interesting because we are also in health, wellness, and fitness, and we believe in feeding your body the right things, both for food and for mental and spiritual. But we wanted to kind of dial back into the spiritual part of it, the emotional part of it, and talk about you in your new life. She's not in a new life. She's having a new life. She's in a new life.
She's in a new life.
I'm in a new era.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
For sure.
So Manders, we always ask everybody before the podcast what is off topic, what they don't want to talk about, and Manders has blessed us with saying that nothing is off limits. Nothing's off limits, and you know, so inquiring minds are super nosy, but you are pretty open.
Nosy.
They're so nosy, and,
yes.
But we love it because they were very specific with their questions.
Very specific, a lot of sexual questions, and so we're gonna let you give you the floor to tell what parts of the story, where you want to start. We're skipping the bio.
We're skipping right over that.
Skipping the bio.
You already know. Like, if you're here, you already know.
Right. But for the record, we think you're great. We think the work you do is great.
Yeah.
You're looking great.
Thank you.
Also,
thank you.
You know, you're welcome. We talked just a moment ago about how glowing you look. And, you know, the comment was, yeah, because that's what orgasms can do for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right into it.
We are
I just
here for this.
I mean, it's fucking true. Oh
it is true.
I can't.
There is science behind this. You are happy.
Somebody better.
We can tell.
But some of them who just more recently followed me or started following me while I was married, I think that they don't know that this is not my first experience with a woman. And so I think that they're asking all these questions as if I'm just now experiencing it for the first time. But what I'm experiencing for the first time is not necessarily, like new for me in life. It's just new for me right now because I have gone through so many different situations before this. So I think people don't know that I identify now publicly. I've always been this way just within myself, but as a queer individual, and I just have been my entire life. Like, literally my first teacher crush was on an openly gay history teacher in school. And like, I just didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I thought it was like, I don't know. I thought everyone just had crushes different. I didn't really know until like pushed on me in religion that wrong and not right. And like, it's a sin and whatever. And I actually came out on Tumblr when I was like 17. Like saying that, and then retracted it because I was like too, and had my first girlfriend at the time, and we were super into like talking about the LGBTQ plus community and like talking about being young and relationship like that. And then for whatever reason, when I turned 18 or 19,
By the way, your Instagram feed has been real nice.
Mm-hmm.
You are getting all of that. You're welcome. All of that content. And it's nice to see you in like a very festive and once again, happy space where your demeanor just shows that you are just like very settled in who you are and you're not hiding.
No, that's I think the biggest change so far is not hiding.
Yeah.
So you can continue
regret,
from
honestly.
where you're
I got
experienced.
distracted. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so I'm trying to for people like, but it's kind of like hard to do that, but I swear I'm going to try to make it quick. And so when I got into, my first like serious male relationship, I just never really let out, like he knew, but like, I don't think a lot of people publicly knew because I didn't talk about it. And then going into when I met my ex, I think it was after a really toxic relationship that I had. And I just like desperately wanted normalcy and to feel like loved and accepted by like a family. Cause I felt like at that point in my life, like I felt like I had nobody. And the way that just like transitioned my life is, I think, because I was so wanting like calm and like boring and normal. What I didn't realize that like that came at the cost of my authenticity, because getting to that point was like, for me, I had to adapt to this whole new lifestyle that I really didn't agree with deep down, but I was conflicted because I loved this person so much and I loved their family so much. But at the end of it, I realized like I gave up my beliefs and like talking about things that I really, really felt strongly about just so that I could have like a white picket fence and like normal family and whatever. Turns out it wasn't that normal anyway. So I definitely feel like, it was not for me, but it taught me a lot. And I think people, when they look at that and they have all these questions like that you've been getting asked, and I've gotten asked, especially when I announced that I was separating from my ex, people were like, well, you guys looked so happy and you looked so in love and blah, blah, blah. And like, they throw this, like what I was saying earlier about like the queer thing, they keep like intertwining those things. And all of those different things, like one being happy at one certain time is 100% true. Like loving that person at that time was 100% true. Doesn't take away from the fact that I can still consider myself a queer and have always considered myself a queer individual. And 3, that other things can happen in a relationship that people have no idea about that cause the relationship to fall apart. They see things publicly and make assumptions about it. And if we don't say anything, that's just what they're taking as, oh, this is why they got divorced. This is why the blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And nobody really has any idea. So I think like people saw this like perfect marriage, which was not perfect at all.
Right.
And partially that's myself to blame because for me, I wanted to feel this like happiness and I wanted to feel so perfect. So like literally that's what I was striving for, that I was almost like doing the most. Like I was being extra trying to make it look like it was so good because like I wanted to believe that I should be happy because like realistically, I had people saying to me like, why are you so unhappy? Like you have everything. Like you have the perfect husband, you have the perfect family, you have the perfect life. But like internally I felt empty. And the reason for that was because I really just wasn't being true to myself. And so I think that was what started my whole, like, I am not in a place where I can be myself. And this is never going to work, even outside of just like the sexuality side of things. Cause I think people are so fucking caught up on that. And it like, they will not stop with that being like the reason that I got a divorce. And it's not. Like those two things are fucking different things, bro. And they will not stop with that. So I would like to publicly say that is not the reason why I got a divorce. Regardless of what someone else says, like, you know, the other side of things, that is not the reason. Just gonna put that out there.
Well, so, everyone looks for a reason, right? Like everyone wants to have their own reason in their head. And it doesn't even matter if it's coming directly from you, even you saying it publicly like that, people are still going to be like, no, that's no, the reason is this.
100%.
And you know, the other side of the equation, the other family involved, of course they want that to be the reason. Because there, you know, it would have to make the other side or the other person in any situation take a look at themselves and who they are and what they contributed and
accountability.
and
And that shit's hard.
yeah, that shit's hard. And
Yeah,
so
it is.
it's way easier to say that, clearly, obviously, we got divorced because she is now queer.
Mm-hmm.
Or they just say lesbian. But I would also like to differentiate that because
Please do.
Yeah, because a lot of people, like when I first had this conversation with someone from my past, actually let me tell you one of the sentences that started it all. This is when I realized that this was never going to work. So we were having a conversation about something, and we're going to not name names also in this podcast because I'm not trying to get a lawsuit.
Yes.
We
don't
love that
want
for
that.
you.
We don't want that.
We're gonna keep you lawsuit free.
Yeah.
Love that.
Thank you.
Devin's also saying
I'm
thank
on
you.
board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. What's like a funny fake name we should use? Let's
Ooh, we're
someone-
I feel like all of us are good at coming up with
You
nicknames
really
for
are.
everybody.
Sebastian.
Sebastian. I'm dead. Okay, so we were having a conversation, and we'll just call him Sebastian.
Great job, Seb for short.
Seb and I.
Seb.
Great.
Seb.
Love
get it.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
Said that there was this girl that was on a Netflix show, and she happened to be on one of the Love Is Blind shows, and he happened to be scrolling at the time, and apparently she had just come out that she was in a relationship with a girl, and he was like, "Oh, did you see that so and so is now in a relationship with a girl?" And it was like very like, whoa. And I just like looked up from, I think I was doing my nails, and I was like, okay. And I was like, and like I was very just like, that is that supposed to be surprising? Like, am I supposed to have some type of reaction to that? And the next thing that came out of my mouth was, well, all girls are a little gay. And I just kind of like said it. Like I kind of like, I was joking, but I was also kind of serious.
Right.
Like, I personally have a very, very strong belief that sexuality is a spectrum. And there are some people who are very, very far on the heterosexual side of the spectrum, and they want nothing to do with the same sex. There are some people who are kind of fluid, which is what I would consider myself, because I've been with both. I've been with men, women, and a transgender man. And I don't have, like, I was open to whatever. Like, now at this stage in my life, I know what my preference is. But prior to that, I said that I considered myself sexually fluid. And this is a conversation that we had never had in the past, which I will take full responsibility for, because I feel like that's something I should have been more confident about talking. Because after the fact, I learned that if I would have said that to Sebastian, he wouldn't have moved forward with the relationship.
Mm.
So in hindsight, that's pretty interesting data to know now. But
But that's where you were at the time, and I do think it's, sorry to cut you off, but I think it's important to give yourself grace in terms of you weren't there yet. And, you know, we've been talking a lot today about past trauma.
Yes.
And, you know, sometimes it dies with you. Sometimes you don't pick it up and look at it for 20 years later. And honestly, good for you that you got through, you're at a very nice stage at your life where you have many years of great living to live. It could have been something that you didn't even talk about.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is clearly, and you know, my therapist says this to me, I was not in a space where I felt safe enough to have that conversation.
Absolutely.
And there's that.
100%. And if you look at the environment, very far right wing, conservative, religious environment, of course I'm not going to come out and talk about that. I don't feel comfortable.
Right.
And so, you know, again, that was my choice. But when we finally had that conversation and I said, like, well, all girls are kind of gay, it was like, it was the end of the world. Like, that comment opened the door to a lot that happened thereafter. And of course, like, that was a comment that was made like in September, October of 2021. And like, nobody knew that, you know? So like, people have no clue what was going on behind closed doors.
Right.
And to, I guess, like, circle back to answer that person's question on when I knew that it was over, I would say at that moment, because there was a comment that was made to me, and he said, I can't have a bisexual wife. And I was like, well, you have one.
Congrats, you have one. I'm here. Congratulations.
And I found that so interesting, because I was like, but how does that change like who I am as a person? And like the fact that I was with, like I don't.
I'm with
how
you
does that make
now,
any-
Sebastian.
Exactly.
Do you love me? I love you.
Right. Like I chose that person because I loved that person. And that was my whole thing. Like I fall in love with the person for who they are at the core. Like I was not looking for someone based on a certain gender or how they identified themselves. I didn't care. Like, I mean, I was 16 years old in love with a person who identified as a male, but was, you know, at that point in his life, a female before going through transition. And so like, I love the person for who they were. And like, instead of embracing that, it was like, push out, you're done. Like, that's not working. But it was actually a good thing. Like learning that for me, like to see, okay, the person that I actually thought, or that was supposed to love me more than anyone, was not accepting of that part of my past, because instead when they learned that, they blamed what was going on in present time on that. And that was really hard for me to navigate, because that was what was told to everybody there. That was what was projected, even though internally, like I could have never said that comment and everything would have still fallen apart, guaranteed. Like, they
for sure.
would have had some, you know what I mean?
Eventually.
So absolutely. It would have been a little longer, but you know, I just think that sentence of like, to me, what it looked like was, I am not loving you for exactly who you are at your core now that I know it. And I was like, oh, well, that's not, like, I can't just change that. That's not a decision that I made. I was a child when I knew that I had sexual or physical attraction to women. I did not wake up one day and was like, oh, like, I'm just going to decide to be gay.
Right.
Like, what?
Although we did just speak with someone who was a woman who was in a relationship with a man. And she did say that that was kind of crazy. It was wild, actually, that she woke up next to him one day and was like, her entire being was rejecting it. And she was just like, I like women.
Yeah.
It's the hairy arm.
The hairy arm. She said she said his arm was laying on me and it was hairy. And she goes, my body had a visceral reaction to it.
Yes.
She got nauseous and it was like,
almost got sick.
Oh my God, I'm gay.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you know what's so funny is like I had those wrestling thoughts for a really long time. But what was confusing for me was that there was also a lot of stuff going on in that relationship that was very unattractive to me, that had nothing to do with physical.
Yes.
So there were definitely some things that I was like, do I even like men? Like, what the fuck?
Right.
Like, I literally had that same reaction in intimate moments. I was like, I'm repulsed. Like, I remember texting Erin and being like, why, like, how do women enjoy sex like this? But like, it was bad, like, for other reasons. You know what I'm saying? So like, in my head, I wasn't really like, oh, well, it's because I like women more.
Right.
That wasn't my first thought.
Right.
Because I had been with men before and it was fine. Like, I didn't have that reaction.
I mean, we all know there's good sex and bad sex, so.
There's also that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for reminding us.
You also, like, one thing I said too was like, when you first have sex with somebody, in my opinion, you either have that connection and that chemistry or you don't.
Yeah.
And
I think you can feel it beforehand too.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of people think like, well, you can build that and you can talk about things and you can teach someone.
I do not believe that.
Yeah.
I disagree. Like, teaching somebody, from my experience, what I've just learned was that being a teacher in those moments and being a teacher in other areas of life. So I was just like the fucking teacher. I was teaching you how to live your life. I was teaching you how to have sex. I don't find that attractive. Like, that's not what I wanted to do. That's not what I thought I was going to do. That's not how I thought things were going to be. So it's interesting because there were so many different aspects going on, but it looks one way, but there was a lot going on.
Of course.
Well, there's always a lot going on.
Well, I was just saying to Nicole earlier that I am I follow a ton of therapists. And my feed is all therapists and podcasts.
It's actually great. Her feed is a self-help growth, just
wonderland.
Mecca. It is a wonderland.
But anyways, how you were saying, like, right? So we're saying like, okay, I'm in the middle of divorce, and you know, I said, people don't. This therapist was saying on her reel that people don't basically, like, when you start to date again, like, right, when you start to have feelings for someone else, you can't say it because people will be like, what? You literally just got divorced, or you're not even
like,
divorced.
You loved him.
Right. And she's like, you have no idea how long that person has been sitting on the couch by themselves, crying and been alone. You have no idea. So you cannot tell somebody when is okay and not okay to start dating again because you have no idea.
You have no clue. And like, what are you going to do? What am I going to do? Post a picture in January of
correct. Right.
Guys, I'm so miserable.
Right.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what, like, no one's saying that.
No, nobody does that. Nobody does that.
Right.
What I was doing was literally overcompensating and
right.
trying to post because I was like, oh my God, maybe if I just do it, maybe I'll feel it internally. And that's wrong. Update besties, don't do that. Like, I would have been better off leaving it alone.
Do not.
Because then you had to backtrack and then people were like, 100%. Oh, what? And you know, you have such a large following. What? So you were posting this and that.
Mm.
Yeah.
But people actually looked, and let me tell you, I do have some people who they're on it. They're on it and they know.
What do these people do? I don't understand what people do.
They've got time.
They have lots of time.
They've got time.
I removed a lot of things from my Instagram in January of this year. So almost a year ago. And nobody noticed. Not one person noticed. And I made a YouTube video in January. It was after Wadapalooza. I got back from Wadapalooza and I had a feeling that things were going to happen the way that they were going to happen. Keep in mind, like, that conversation that I talked about happened in, I think, August or September of the previous. And I made a YouTube video and I was like, I am not going to be talking about my personal life moving forward because people are so mean, which is true.
Yeah.
And they're very supportive. Like, I've met some really great people, but people are very mean and they think that they know your life just because of what you're posting. And I did that so people, at least some people, would know, like, okay, something is happening, but she's not talking about it. And so from January until I think I announced it in April, like, I was not in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like, mentally, I was not.
Oh, for sure.
And nobody has any idea about that.
Right.
So, like, yeah, when they see that now I'm dating someone, they're like, oh, but you just got divorced
right.
in the summertime. And I'm like, okay.
But not really.
Yes.
But yeah, not really. Yeah, physically, like on paper.
Yeah.
But nobody,
sure.
It's interesting because nobody really wakes up one day and goes, oh, I want a divorce.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't happen like that.
For sure.
No, and those things, and again, it's like, it's something that happens between you and maybe yourself, because you can be in a relationship and very alone.
Yeah.
You can be more alone in a relationship than when you are actually solo.
Yeah.
But it's also something that happens, you know, you don't know what the pace of the other person's, you know, emotional, both trauma and healing is. You don't know what their pace is.
Huge.
It is huge because timing, they always say, that's why the saying is that timing is everything. It's everything.
The healing part too is really big because I think, like, I would say, like, after I got married, I did a lot of self-reflecting and, like, because I had a lot of, like, internal feelings that felt really weird to me about that, which I never told anybody because, of course, again, what am I going to do? Be, like, making public posts on Instagram about how I feel like I just made a fucking mistake?
Make a reel about it and sing about it.
You really should do, like, some sort of caroling to describe your emotions. That would be great.
Honestly, I swear to God. And so, but when I was in therapy and I was understanding and, like, peeling those layers back and doing a lot of serious healing, I felt like I was starting to come into my own a long time before I got divorced and moved here. So I think people are a little behind, which, again, totally my responsibility because they didn't know because I didn't tell them. My close friends know and they're not surprised by this. But, like, that timing is so slow, and the timing of drifting apart from somebody is also really slow.
Yes.
Like, again, like what you said, you don't wake up one day and hate somebody. Like, I still don't hate my
Sebastian.
Yeah, Sebastian. I don't hate at all. I actually loved his family and lost a family until, I would say, like, I started learning things about, like, their core beliefs and things like that directly conflicted with mine. It's hard to, like, unlove somebody, but it's definitely like where I couldn't peacefully coexist. And that was something that I had to choose for myself because, like, as a member of the LGBTQ plus community, as someone who is for women's rights and Black Lives Matter and all the things that directly conflict with what they believe, how am I supposed to say, like, oh, I love you moving forward? Like, you don't even want me to have control over my own body.
No,
like,
they don't want to acknowledge who you are.
Right, exactly. And so, like, I don't know. I just feel like people weren't seeing the tangling that was happening behind the scenes
Of course
for like
not.
a long time.
Yeah.
And even my people like in my life weren't seeing that because I was doing it all internally.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh wow, this is not what I thought, you know, while having to like upkeep this like perfect picture perfect life and like still make everyone else in my life happy and my partner and their parents and everyone else. And I was like, oh, where's me? Where do I fit into this? Like,
right. And I think one of the kind of themes here in everything that you've just said, from all of the different stages that you've been in, is that it's been very difficult for you to be seen. Yeah. And that's from your partner, that's from your community, that's from your partner's family, and that's from people that you don't even know. And
100%.
Yeah. And that's really hurtful. And that makes it harder for you to see those things in yourself when there's literally no support to back up who you are. And one of the questions that we received specifically for you was about that. It was about how difficult it might be or not, to have a very public, mask, if you will, in this space while going through, very private things. Did you find it? I mean, and that is a question for you.
Like, and I will say Manders is I don't follow a lot of influencers, just because they drive me crazy, but
we already know this.
Right. So, but of the people that I know, I feel like Manders is the most genuine and also, very much open with her audience that, like Manders and I are friends. We've become, closer over the years. I've stayed with her. Who she is who she is. On camera and off camera, she is not different. And so I just think that just based on that, you're an amazing person, like soul. And like, of course, it's an honor to be friends with you and to know you. But just for our audience to know that you are one of the most open and have tried to be open so people can understand you and where you're coming from. And you've let people that you don't know from the interweb, which is can be a horrible place, a great place and a horrible place.
Right.
So that I saw you get caught in the web of, well, no. This is what I mean. Well, no. This is who I am. But this is who I am. And people were like, no, shut up. No, shut up. This is who you are. And I saw that wear you down mentally.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It did. It throughout like years and years. I think because I was always trying to over-explain myself and like get everyone to not be mad at me.
Yes. Yeah. Hello.
Wait, are you a 2 like Jen?
Yes, me and Jen are the same.
Oh my gosh.
We always ask each other if the other one hates each other. So that's good for our friendship. We love that.
Are you mad at me and do you hate me today?
Also on a scale of 1 to 10.
Right.
Yeah.
Are we good? We're good. We're still good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Still love me?
We're good.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. No, it did, because I think what was happening was I saw this is something, a horrible trait that I was doing on both on social media and off. I was, purposely not talking about something based on the audience that I was around, or purposely talking about something based on the audience. So like, for example, obviously, when I was with Sebastian's family, the talk of like anything gay or anything about abortion or how much I hate religion or anything was off the table. I wasn't allowed to talk about it. And they also encouraged me like not to talk about the George Floyd incident that happened as I was with them when that happened. And it was just like, I was made to feel bad about the things that I believed in so many times in my life, both on and off camera, that it started to make me feel like I didn't know who I was because other people were telling me how I felt. And over time, I was like, wait, what the fuck do I even feel about this? Like, I need to figure this out because I don't know, because you're telling me this, the internet's telling me that, my friends are telling me this. Like, I just need to understand what exactly I feel. And that took some time to unlearn, because both from like a social media standpoint, where people hold you to this high standard of like, oh, you need to be talking about this. You need to you need to speak out on this. You need to do this. But then also you say what you feel. And then they're like, no, fuck you for feeling that. Like, how could you say that? You know, like,
Do this, but not like that.
Yes. And it was like that because I was getting that both from the internet, and then I was getting it in real life too, on both ends. And I was just like, oh my God, I cannot figure out like what I need to do to make everybody else happy. And
well, you can't.
All that you can't. And all that did was make me unhappy.
Yeah, sure.
Because I was just like being this like fake version of me that was like appealing to everybody else by not talking about something, and then saying like the cushy version of something else just because I didn't want to upset somebody else. You know, it was just never ending.
I honestly can't believe you just didn't disappear for a minute.
Yeah, there were some times where I thought Erin was going to have to put me in the mental ward for sure, because I was like, I can't do this. Like, to answer your question, when I found the hate blogs, that was the most suicidal that I've ever been in my entire life.
That's
like,
so
I
scary.
told Erin, I told her, I was like, you know what? I was like, if I killed myself, these people would feel so bad. Like, I remember thinking that, like, what would they say if they knew how much the things hurt me? Because it wasn't just like making up rumors, even though that's still happening actively. Like, I have so many rumors about my divorce that I've seen about myself that are not true. But like back then when I first found them, it was all like how fat my face was, that I was on steroids, how bad my skin was, how ugly I was, how I look like a refrigerator, SpongeBob SquarePants. Oh, they stick in my head.
It would stick in anybody's head.
Yeah. So like, I think to answer your question, there's been a lot of bad, like a lot,
Right.
but I also can't negate the good things that have happened. Like when Tuxie passed away, like the amount of support that I got.
Yes, it was so much.
It was so much. So like, there's a lot of bad things, but I think the experience that I've had thus far has helped me understand actually like what I really believe in and who I am as a person. So like,
Right.
catch 22.
Right. And we talk about this all the time. Just having a brand that's associated with selling things. It's like to the core of, I think what I would want is a world where we didn't have to feel the need to post to social media in any way.
100%.
And where you could act, the way that you connect was exclusively and solely face to face with people. But that's just not the reality for, most individuals and brands today. And we're trying to navigate that now. We being like everyone in this community, we're trying to navigate that in a way that makes sense for us. So one of the things that we wanted to ask you is, you're a woman with so much to offer, and we don't, a lot of times we get like pigeonholed, or like something like seems very linear. I'm just curious for you, what are you really most excited about discovering or learning or doing in this next year as you go into this like very fresh, new and glowing chapter that you now find yourself in?
The orgasms, bitch.
Yes. We are here for the orgasms.
Yes.
And I'm back.
Yeah. Devin is here for the orgasms
as
as well.
Oh my God. I think exploring the me that is not afraid to be me. Because that's something that just like I really have struggled with, because I've been so afraid to lose people in my life. And I think after going through the amount of loss that I have this year, it's made me feel much more at peace with loss in general, and exploring that like it's okay to be like who you are and who you want to be, and like what that looks like. And that also can mean changing your fucking mind, because something that I used to think too was like, oh, well, I can't back off of what I said because I said that one time. Okay, now I change my mind all the time, and I'm open about it. And I'll be like, okay, I used to think that, but I don't think that anymore. And like being in a relationship,
which is a great quality, and more of a, a lot of people should have that quality.
Yes.
Because I don't think if you're not changing your mind about things, then you're not really evolving.
You're not learning.
You're not growing.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. And having the courage to like know when you're with somebody that does not have that at all, but you want to be that way. Like if you embrace that and you leave that behind, I can almost guarantee that you become the best version of yourself that you've ever known, because that was where I was stuck. So like pigeonholing, I was stuck in a hole in the Midwest of like not knowing what to do because I didn't know how to express who I was and what I wanted. And so now like I'm really looking forward to like having a relationship where my partner knows 100% every single thing about me, good, bad, ugly. Like, I mean, there's nothing that she doesn't know about my past, about current, about everything, and like still loves me just the same. And I'm just open about it and being able to like explore what that looks like, both from like an internal standpoint of like, wow, what does that do for me? Because this is the most that anyone has ever in my life told me, like, wow, you look so glowy or you look whatever. And I told Miranda the other day, I was like, honestly, if it wasn't for you, like just accepting that, I don't know that other people would even be saying it, because like I have this very fulfilling relationship that's like helping me grow and be me. So like I really want to just kind of like lean into that more and just know what else that has in store for me, and like also not being afraid to like talk about sex things and like just enjoy that.
Wow, that's great. This sounds like a very exciting kind of like not just like self-discovery year for you, but also you share so much, which is really honestly like it's very brave of you.
It's brave and it's very kind.
It is kind. And I think that people will also learn more about themselves in turn from learning through you.
For sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I hope so. Yeah. Because I wish I had that, you know, when I was in those early on relationships and I was going through these like toxic behaviors, both on my end and in the relationship. And I was like, why is this happening? Well, I didn't know anything. And now I'm like, well, I hope that someone can see me go through this and think like they have
absolutely.
the courage to,
of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen the comments, and that's the flip side, right? The horrible and the great side of Instagram is that, you know, you have this public platform and you're still using your voice, and you fought through all of the shit, and you spoke louder, and you're still speaking louder than all of the people that are like trying to tear you down. And you're like, no, this is my voice. I'm going to use it. This is what I've been through. This is what I'm going through. And yeah, you're helping people that you absolutely don't even know that you're helping. And I think obviously we all have our own purpose and we all have our own voice, which is why we're, you know, doing this podcast to give platforms to help people. But yeah, I think that's the great side of Instagram, is that you're going through this publicly, but it's helping people.
Yeah, I hope so. And the same with the sexuality side of things, because I think people that have had a lot of religious trauma, and even just like being in a place where they don't feel accepted, I think it's totally okay. Want to like explore more of that. Like there's nothing wrong with that. And I wish I had the courage to do that and say those things early on. So I hope that helps too for people, because like I got a lot of backlash from that. Like people want to put a label on it. Like, you were married to a man, but now you're dating a girl, lesbian, not lesbian. And I'm like, first of all, who the fuck cares? Like if I was a man that I was dating, literally nobody would say anything.
No,
I'm telling you, nobody would give a shit. But for some reason, like because it changes my sexual orientation, which spoiler, it's not, but that's how people don't understand like that you could be attracted to both genders. Like I just wish that more people would be comfortable saying like, yeah, I'm just like exploring this right now. Like, it's okay. Like I might have an attraction to my friends. Like that's what happened to me. And like, we're just going to kind of like feel it out. And then, wow, lo and behold, although I will say like I had experience with women in the past. So like, I already knew that the sexual things was much better in my experience. So
the more you talk about it, the more it's normalized. The more, you know, just like anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, the more things are talked about. And it's very funny to me that people have reactions. I mean, I used to back in the day. We know we've talked about my religious past too. But everybody has these thoughts, whether they want to think it, you know, say it out loud or not. And so, you know, for you to just speak it out loud and to keep talking about it just makes it more normal, because we're all, at the end of the day, sexual human beings. And it's a normal part of life. It's still, I feel like, especially in America, we're still very behind.
We're so immature.
We're so behind the curve and like being like sexually taboo. And we're all sexual beings and want to have sex and orgasms, right? So
like, and if it's with like your best friend, I mean, I don't know. Listen,
it's shit, but hey, your best friend.
But like, how great is that?
Right.
That you have.
Exactly.
Right.
Like you have, I mean, literally a partner who does everything we do together, like talk about chores. Like that was a question somebody asked you.
Yes.
like, what is it like to have a partner that actually like cleans the house and does things? Like, I will never forget like when she first like came and visited me. And Jen did this too, by the way. I remember taking it.
Oh, I've had Jen as a house guest. 10 out of 10, highly recommend. She's the best.
That's what I'm saying.
She
like,
leaves the house better than when she came there. And I'm like, wow, I feel bad now.
But like, who doesn't do that? I don't understand.
You're great. She's the best.
Really, men. And I'm so sorry. But like, for real, like men will, like, men, my experience has to. Oh, are you good?
It cut out.
It cut out for 1 second.
Yeah.
I saw it. I was like, oh, I don't want to.
Thank you.
Yep. I feel like men, at least, well, I'm gonna not generalize, but my experience, like I remember it was like, I would say, well, I just need like some more contribution. Like, I need you to like, to help with things. Like, I don't want to have to tell you, okay, do X, Y, and Z, because that's still the mental burden is on me having to tell you like a child, do your chores, go to this, do this, do that. And I don't want to do that. And then the response will be like, well, just tell me what you want me to do. Okay, why can every woman that I've ever known look at a sink that's full of dishes and be like, I need to do the dishes? Or like, why is that a thing? And so like when Miranda first came and I came downstairs one morning, she was like mopping the floors, like picking, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, why are you cleaning? And she was like, well, there was like, I forget what it was, something on the floor. She had spilled something on the floor, and I was cleaning up after yourself. Oh my god! Whoa! Like, the bar was on the fucking floor. So
the floor she was mopping for you.
Sebastian was extreme, I will say. Like, from all of your stories, he was very.
Jen knows the real stories. Though,
he was very extreme in his needing to be parented. Let's just say Sebastian is a what they would call a mommy's boy.
Ooh.
I think that somebody like that just wanted to marry somebody to replace his
Yeah.
mom. That's what I've learned through that experience. And that was
Oedipus
ultimately
complex.
Oedipus.
Yeah,
like,
that was not me.
Yeah. No.
I didn't understand. But here's the thing, like, I did not understand that. And what was said to me at the time, literally verbatim, was, well, you knew he was like this. You knew that he didn't take the trash out. That was a sentence that was said to me. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I was like, maybe, like, I knew that there was something going on, but not to that extreme, and not that like somebody wouldn't step up in a relationship and start doing, you know what I'm saying? Like, wild. It was so wild.
Well, what's interesting about that is that also contributes over time to, well, actually, I'll say detracts from the emotional, sexual connectivity.
Hello.
Yeah.
That's
because
what I was trying to say.
Right.
I was just about to say that. And like, for some reason, those people don't understand that. Like, that could not be comprehended, that like, if you're a slob and you have to have your wife do absolutely everything for you, like, I could not rely on you for one thing. What makes you think that I'm going to be like, damn, you look hot, I want to have sex with you?
Absolutely not.
And like, they do not understand that. So like, I'm sorry, but anyway, my point of saying that was that like, having a partner who contributes in more ways than one is such a turn on. Like, it's not even funny to be able to like come home and have things done and not have to be like, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? Like, women are fucking elite, and you cannot tell me otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
That's a quote.
Whoa. Devin's like,
women are elite.
Women are elite.
Elite.
Like, they can just do so much. Like, I could be like talking on the phone, doing 9,000 things. She's doing other 10,000 things. We're getting it done. Like, I mean, it's just wild. And then on top of that, you're having great sex. Are you kidding me?
Okay, so let's talk about sex, baby. We've had a lot of questions about this, which is funny to us because we're like, all right, this is literally just part of life.
Well, she's kind of gone over it like she was before. Like I said, they weren't getting graphic.
No, they just have they have questions.
They weren't asking like how we okay.
No, they weren't asking how. They weren't.
It.
I think they were just wanted to know if you were having better experience with a woman.
So that's what I kind of wanted to get into.
Get into it.
What makes your sex now better? What makes it better?
Knowing the fucking bodily anatomy for one.
knowing anatomy certainly helps. She's following this really funny account.
Research.
Research.
I get
Yes.
it. Okay.
You need to do the research.
Roe versus bros, where they don't know.
Oh my God. Yes.
It's the funniest account.
It's so funny.
Yeah, it's so funny.
I'm like, this.
Have you heard of it, Devin?
Look
Okay,
at Roe.
so basically
So
they
crazy.
ask men questions about women's anatomy.
And the answers are mind-boggling.
It's
Does the
really-
clitoris move? They all said, yeah. She goes, where does it move to? Well, I think when they get aroused, it goes up. It moves up. And then and she's like, really?
Well, her response is the best. She said, why are there different size tampons?
Oh, that one's so good.
That was
I was
good.
like, stop.
Another one was, can you have sex when you're pregnant? Almost every guy was like,
Said no.
no.
They'll poke the baby.
You
so
fucking
done.
wish
I'm
you'd poke the
so
baby.
Done.
Anyways, so yes, I have learned a lot from that Instagram account that, wow, men,
What's it called?
Roe versus bros.
I think
Like,
it's
and
Roe
then at
v.
the
Bros
end,
account.
the point is, she asked all of them, are you registered to vote? Because she said, the point is, all these people are registered to vote on abortion,
Right.
but no, and
No.
women's bodies, but know nothing about women's bodies.
Right.
That's wild.
To the
So-
point of sex.
I will-
To the point of sex.
Yeah.
But back to what makes it great for you now
Yeah.
with your new partner.
Yeah, I would say, well, for one, honestly, like the emotional connection is definitely a huge factor for me. Like, I know that it varies from person to person, but I really feel like it's important to have that very strong, like, best friend, actually. Like, I love the fact that we talk about so much and we have such great conversations. So having the foundation for me, I think is really important. But there's a couple of things that I've learned in my experience with women, with one being obviously, like, we know women's bodies. So, like, that's a no-brainer. Like, we understand that, like, well, first of all, why men try to be doing the most? Like, why are they trying to go at it like you're like they're like about to scrub your vagina off? Like, can we relax, bro?
Yeah.
Like,
You don't actually need to do that much work.
Right.
no, you really don't. And they're like over here, like no idea where things are going on. Like, I'm like, why are you? Can I say labia? Why are you rubbing my?
Of course.
You can say anything.
Yeah.
Here. Yes. Like, why are you there?
Like, what are you thinking you're doing? So, like, for one,
You got the wrong address,
Right.
sir.
literally, like, let's bring it back. Somebody get China on the phone. Like, we
Yeah.
need to understand what. And so, like, I would say the knowledge and experience of women's bodies is really important. And having somebody where your guys' sexual preferences and things that you both like are very similar. And so, like, I think just like with women, and this has been my experience a lot, women are not trying to just like get to the end result and like, okay, we're good. Like, like we're going to have sex for 5 minutes and be out. And I think women really like the entire experience. There's like a joke that me and one of my really good friends, Nolly, have where we're like, we always say like, women on women sex ends when one person is like decides to call it after like the hour that it's going on. Like, it can be so many different things that I think that's why it's such a good experience, at least for me, because it's not just the way that I've traditionally had sex with men in the past. Like, it's very explorative. Is that a word?
It can be, yeah. Explorative.
think so.
Explorative.
Explorative.
Exploitative.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know which one is right, but it's that. And
Exploratory is another
it's like
word.
exploratory.
Yes. We've got all the words.
It's so it's very like fun, playful, and like a lot of what you would like I would say foreplay with like heterosexual couples. But it's viewing that to the point where both people are full satisfied, like, and it doesn't have to have an end. So there's just a lot that you can do, and I think it's way that way. And it's not just like a man trying to like jackrabbit you for 5 minutes and then be like, come. No.
Devin's like, wait a minute. His look on his face, Devin. He's like, I don't do that.
Furiously taking notes.
Yeah. No jackrabbiting.
Notes.
No jackrabbiting
no do
here.
that. Jesus Christ. No, and I just think like, I will say there are some men, just to give men some credit, because like obviously I have had experience that's not the case, and it's usually men that are older and who have experience with women. So like,
Makes
it's
sense.
just about
Or
understanding,
men
like,
who
how to
just
communicate
cared
with
enough
them.
to do their
Research.
research. Research.
It's not that.
Ask
Yeah.
somebody,
And ask their
Google
partner,
it,
too.
ask your partner, figure it out, read the signs. Care enough to do that, and you're good.
Yeah, or like having the ability. What I've also noticed is that women are much more intuitive to other women's body language, whereas and that goes right over their head. And I also think that's because a lot of women fake it. Like I cannot even tell you how many of my straight friends tell me that they fake their orgasms because they hate their sex so much with their husband just to get it over with.
No,
And
that's so
yeah.
sad.
I
Well,
can
for
say that
one,
I did
it's-
in my, for sure.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Just tell me
really
I
suck
suck. I mean, let me
Well,
fix it.
Or like tell
Give me
you
the
what
opportunity,
you should
you know?
be doing.
Right. You know,
Right.
we
Yeah,
failed at the
for
initial
sure.
selling process. Give me the opportunity to.
But I think the hard
make-
part with, well, yes, I agree with what he's saying because that was told to me as well. But then also the hard part for that is to feel like you have to on how to make you feel good, like over and over. It's not like that's not a good makes it feel like you're just get instead of being like a natural thing, which is why, like I was saying before, either you have that connection, like the
Chemistry definitely comes into play.
Yeah, for sure. And if you don't have it, it's very hard to like construct that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So we do have some like standard questions that we typically ask. We're going to venture away from sex for a little bit. We can always come back to it if we want to. So we know that you love staying home, but not everyone loves that. And one of our standard questions that we ask all of our guests are, what were your favorite pre and post COVID weekend plans and activities that you enjoyed the most?
that's the one to ask me, like literally the worst one, because I say staying home and staying home. So
Great.
I was going to
Then
say,
there's
I
your
feel like
answer.
hers is like the same.
nothing changed. Nothing changed for me at all.
These questions are so great for you because, well, first of all, we already know, but for the benefit of our viewers and listeners, I think this is important. The gay and female revolution. Is this a thing?
I hope it is. Oh, I love gay women.
We hope it is too.
I hope it is.
I think
would
it
love to
is.
see more. Listen, when I see TikToks of like therapists or whatever talking, or women talk about their experience in a heterosexual marriage, the comments, why are we all married to the same man, and why are we all miserable? What I remember being like. And like reading the comments on those things, I'm like, what are we all doing? Like, I'm so confused. Why are we in the same experience? And
Why are
when
we
you get
still
out
here?
of that, yeah, and you, for me, when you're with a woman, I'm like, oh, I see it now. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It does make sense. This is Jen's favorite question. It's a hard hitting question.
It's the dumbest question.
The toilet paper roll, over or under?
Over,
I knew that Manders would have a direct answer.
Yep.
of course.
Well, of course, only for you, myself, and Devin. This one over here
I don't care.
doesn't care.
Oh, okay.
All
Yeah.
right, so that's fine. Next question, which she also thinks is dumb. Do you like sparkling water or do you drink still water?
So,
Okay. That was every person today. Do you drink coffee?
yeah, uh-huh.
We're just making sure we can
She's
still
like,
be friends.
is that a question? We've only
Yeah.
had one person on
Yeah.
the podcast so far say no.
Right.
Oh, weird.
That's what I thought too.
What is your gut reaction when someone asks you if they can, quote, pick your brain?
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's usually what it is.
Good reaction.
Where, yeah, it's gonna be like they're gonna ask me something like really, really personal for like free advice for my job that I do, and it's that I hate really do be that when they're like, so I've tried my macros for like blah 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 blah, blah. And I'm like, you know, I do this for a living, right? Like, but I never say that. Of course, why would I ever stand up for myself? I just tell them exactly what they want to hear.
People
Yeah.
pleasers in recovery.
I need that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now here we are at the part of the show where we say one word or phrase and it's like rapid fire and you just come back at us with the very first thing that pops into your mind.
I've always wanted to do that.
Well, here we go. First word, festivals.
Carnivals.
Okay.
Next word, situationships.
Oh, I thought of Jersey Shore. That's funny.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Mike, well, you said situation, and then I was thinking Mike the situation.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah,
But still.
the situation.
The
Yeah,
situation.
the situation. Okay, good. Sunglasses at night.
The fuck? I don't know.
That's a reaction.
That's the
Why?
answer.
Why?
Yes,
That's the answer.
I agree.
And last one, international travel.
No, thank you.
Oh,
That's 2 today.
okay. So please explain.
Yeah.
Okay, it is. If I could teleport there,
I already know why, but yes, explain.
Yeah, Jen knows. I can't, bro. The planes, I get so sick, such bad motion sickness, like so bad. And if there's turbulence on my flight, it ruins me for the whole day. I will be so sick. Like, entire experience is ruined for me.
Wow. Okay, you know what? That's fair because no one wants to feel sick and terrible.
Yeah, I have to take so much medication. Like by the time the whole day of traveling is just lost for me, and like I can't even know what. Like if there's boats involved, buses, cars, like it's just
Yeah.
I can't do the boat. I don't know.
Well, that is kind of going to put a damper on the invites that we send you for our wellness trips that we have planned for next year. However, we can absolutely and will absolutely do one on the East Coast that you can get in your
Please.
car and drive to.
Yeah.
I beg of you.
We will pick you up.
Plane rides, they're like under 4 hours versus absolute. It's like
Okay.
Okay.
We can do that.
Yeah, we can do that.
So unless we have any other questions.
I mean, there's lots of questions, but we'll have to pick it up on a part 2.
When we do this in
think of your
person.
dirty questions to ask. Actually, I will. So
Ooh. Don't worry. We're going to stock them up, girl,
Yeah.
because we're going to be doing this in person.
And then we can have a whole
Yay!
entire episode on sex.
Yes.
oh my god, you know how many people would listen to that?
Yeah.
Well, we already know the title of the episode is Sex with Manders.
Sex with Manders.
That's what it is.
Clickbait.
Ready.
But also, we are still giving the people what they want. So is it?
Yeah.
I mean, and then
Absolutely.
this is also another thing that I ask Rumble to do to close us out that she also hates only because she has performance anxiety. She's actually fantastic. We wanted to say you very much embody our mantra that we are living in going into this fresh, new, glowing and thriving year.
Thriving.
And we want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts and the bottom of our very bottoms. Thank you for being on our show.
Yes, we love you.
We love you
for
very
having me.
much.
I
support
love
you.
so much.
Thank you. And
Support
we are
you
going to close
right
it out
back.
with our mantra, which you can start, which is
Look, he has to tell me we are healthy.
Nope. We
We are happy.
Keep it up.
We're going to start over.
Wow.
See, I can't.
She can do this all day long when we are not on film.
I'm dead. And then you record it, and then you're like,
Yeah, no, because it's happy.
Okay, ready?
We're happy.
We
are happy. We are healthy.
We are wealthy.
Wealthy. We
and
are smoke shows.
And so are you. And we are so
thank
happy
you.
for
So
you.
are you. Thank you. Gosh, you are just kind. I can't even.
Thank you for joining us.
And we can't
you for
wait to
having
see
me.
what happens this year with your continued journey. Now that you
do
are
too.
getting back into a good mental health space.
Thank you so much.
We're really happy to see you happy.
Thanks. Love you.
You're welcome.